impossible with tape and disk. Branch offices, anytime data is distributed, centrally architected hardware backup just falls down. With online backup, all of those devices are always connected to the backup cloud. So you've got, so long as the device is connected to the internet, it can be protected. Media, most of the big embarrassing data loss incidents over the last decade have been because of misplaced backup media. With online backup, there is no media to worry about. Then on the recovery side, with traditional backup, recovery has taken a very long time and has usually been a task that had to be carried out by central IT. Whereas with online backup, we can now delegate recovery out so every user can access their data on the fly. In fact, interesting anecdote about that, we had a partner who is very fond of telling this story, that one day Greg's playing golf on a Sunday, and he gets a phone call from a customer, and the customer says, Greg, 2 years ago we put a presentation together for a client, and I need that file first thing tomorrow morning. Well, in the bad old days of tape-based backup, that would have been a 3 or 4 day project to recover that file. Instead, Greg pulled his iPhone out of his pocket, searched the cloud, had all of the customer's data backed up to the cloud, found the file, got the file, shared the file with the customer, all without leaving the golf course. And it sounds like a funny little story until you think about the ramifications of what that does to managing backup in both the small business world and in the enterprise world. We're talking about a dramatic simplification of the solution and far greater access to data, as well as far better security and management. And then at the bottom of this slide, we look again at the margin. If we look at hardware-based backup, it's typically been a thin margin business for resellers and a pain point for resellers. So one of the most difficult parts of managing backup has been calls out on site to do environment recoveries, which can take days and often doesn't lead to particularly profitable revenue for a reseller. Whereas with online backup, again, we're talking about 50 or 60 percentage points of profit. So it's a very attractive product to be selling. I want to pause now and just answer some of the questions that we've got coming in. A question about whether we support exchange backup from Howley. Yes, we do. Larry Owens asks, do you guys sell direct to consumer or only through the channel? Larry, we do sell, we've got a small direct business, but we mainly sell through the channel. So 80% of our business, comes through the channel. Robert Larson, are you considering a solution for Windows Home Server? Robert, yes, we can back up Windows Home Server. We don't integrate with Windows Home Server particularly, but we do we're compatible with it. David Hood asks, how do you compare to remote backup systems cloud offering? David, I'll leave discussion of particular competitors to the end when we'll actually look at that. But I mean, the very short answer is that it's a far more powerful platform with far better margin to you, far better marketing support at a far cheaper price. So better product, cheaper price is the short answer. Mark Moeller asks, can an individual access their own backup data with their Active Directory credentials, or do users have separate logins? Separate logins, Mark. There's a different, so we've got our own authentication regime for access to data. Claudio Civadino asks, is there mobile software available for Android devices? There is an Android portal which allows you to do recovery, sharing, streaming, and searching. Tony Miller says, do you have any virtualization options? What about local redundancy? So Tony, there's a built-in local backup application. So it's got built-in local backup redundancy. And then we will back up virtual files. We don't have any I mean, I'm not sure what you mean, but do you have any virtualization options? We do certainly back up VHDs and VMDKs, and a lot of our customers use us for that. All right, so let's, turning back to the presentation. One of the questions we get a lot is about the size of the industry and how big the opportunity is for resellers. And another question we get a lot is have I left it too late? Is there still much of a market out there? So just some statistics. The overall market for backup sits at $10 billion US a year, roughly. But that is across hardware, software, and services, and again, between consumer, small business, and enterprise. In terms of the total size of the online backup market, it's sitting at about $1 billion a year right now. So depending upon what your belief is about how much of the overall backup market cloud-based backup is going to capture, I mean, this is likely to be a $7 or $8 billion industry at full maturity, and it's only a $1 billion industry today. So still a lot of growth ahead of us in terms of what's going to happen with the market. We're seeing very fast growth in the small business and consumer sectors and early stage exploration of the online backup technology in the enterprise. So it's a very good time to be getting into the market. But I'd like to turn now and actually look at the SOS core technology. A lot of the questions that have come in the last minute are about the technology. So I'll spin through the core features of the technology, and then I'll turn back to the questions. So the SOS platform is built around 4 key concepts: protecting data, accessing data, sharing data, and managing data. Protect is about world-class backup and recovery, and we think we've got the best online backup and recovery solution out there. Access is about the story I told about Greg on the golf course. It's the ability to get real-time access to your data on demand from any type of device and transform that content and consume that content. Sharing is what it sounds like. It's getting that data out of your cloud to the people who you want to share it with, whether that's business colleagues or friends or family. And then managing your private cloud is about being able to manage and deploy and report on all of those computers out there that are being backed up. So we've actually got our new product, our new Pulse management framework, which is designed to allow you to manage up to 5,000 PCs from one central administration console, which is an exciting new addition to our product line, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Just turning to the core PC backup product, to the questions about Mac and Linux, we are compatible with Samba, so we will back up any CIFS-exposed file shares on the network, and that's how we usually go about backing up Mac and Linux. If you've got a purely Mac or Linux network, we're not the product for you. So we're strongest in Windows environments, everything from Windows XP through to Win2K8 R2. And then we do have a lot of clients who back up Mac and Linux devices as well through the product, but our strongest platform is Windows. In terms of our infrastructure, we've got 10 data centers around the world, about to be 11, so no matter what country you're in, there's a local data center for you. We've got data centers in Canada, the United Kingdom, the United States, then in Asia as well. So for those international partners that we've got on the line today, one of those international data centers would be used for your data, whereas for people in America, which is the bulk of our audience, we've got 5 data centers in continental USA. And then looking at the core product, generally our strategy for product design has been to put everything in. So we don't nickel and dime you for additional features. For example, CDP. There's a continuous data protection module built right into the product. So you can watch a file, and every single time it changes, we'll back it up to the cloud. Unlimited computers. This is really important. If you look at Mozy and Carbon, they charge license fees for every single seat. So if you've got 100 machines, with Mozy, for example, you're paying $400 a month just to have those machines with the software on it. That's without backing up any data. SOS doesn't charge you any license fees per seat at all. Now, you're free to charge your customers license fees if you'd like. We don't recommend that because it is so powerful when your customers get all of their computers in the environment. The access and sharing capabilities really come into their own when you've got the entire network connected. Global roaming access, you can access your data through a web browser from any HTML 4.0 compatible web browser onward. Access on iPhone, so we've actually got a native client on iPhone and BlackBerry that will back up the iPhone, back up the BlackBerry, back up the iPad, as well as stream content straight from the cloud, which is a very cool feature for home users. So we've got, you can back up your entire music library to the cloud and actually stream your music straight to your iPhone, Pandora style, without even needing to recover it, which is very cool. Then back on the business side, a free integrated local backup application. So this lets you do a full computer backup for speedy recovery, and you can point that at any local backup destination, whether it's network drive, any type of network share, external disk, etc. Physical media upload. This is a feature we pioneered a few years ago, or physical seeding. So you can do the first backup to a disk and then FedEx that to us, and we'll do the upload for you. In the middle, powerful recovery. So the whole recovery module is driven by a timeline, so you can actually roll back to any point in time. And that becomes really important when you look at the 2 features at the bottom, unlimited versioning and unlimited archiving. We keep every version of a file. So if the file changes every day, we keep 365 versions of that file in a year. And we got some customers who've got 7 years of version history in our system. All of our competitors do 30 versions. So this is a big standalone feature of ours that makes us very unique in the market. So you couple that with the timeline-based recovery, and it means you can roll your system back to any point in time to get a snapshot of how it looked at that time, which is extremely powerful. Versions are free. We don't charge you for them. We bear the cost of providing you with that version history. So that's an extremely attractive element of the product, and very important if you're selling into the healthcare industry or the financial services industry or anybody subject to the Sarbanes-Oxley requirements. This makes our product HIPAA compliant, and it allows businesses to use the product to meet all of their regulatory compliance requirements when it comes to electronic backup. Then couple that with the next feature, unlimited archiving, and you've got a product that can be both a DR solution as well as an archiving solution. Archiving in the online backup world is a bit of a contentious issue. If you look at Mozy and Carbonite and all of our competitors, after 30 days, if a file's been removed from the source device, they delete it from the cloud. So to bring that home, if I'm working on a file on my PC and I delete it here, after 30 days, Mozy deletes it from the cloud. And they do that because they say they're not an archival service, and if the file's been deleted off your PC, they should no longer keep it. Well, our customer research shows that 60% of recoveries in our system come from accidental deletion or misplacing files. So in a world where customers are losing files or accidentally deleting content, the last thing that we want to be doing is then removing that content from the cloud. So SOS keeps that data archived in the cloud for you until you tell us to get rid of it. Now, that's important across every industry vertical, and it's particularly important for companies that are subject to regulatory requirements around data archiving and data retention. So, for example, under HIPAA, you've got to keep versions for up to 7 years. SOS can be used as an archiving solution as well, and again, that's built into the product. All right, so let's turn now and look at our core partnership program. But before I do that, I just want to answer some of the questions that have come into the line here. Okay. So Tony Miller asks, can I spin a VM off your cloud? Tony, no, but you could back up a VM to the cloud and then recover it yourself. So if that's what you mean, I guess yes. Mark Moeller, are the user logins managed by an admin or controlled by the end user? Mark, you can do it either way. You can control them or you could delegate control to the customer. Howley asks, what is the pricing structure, licenses per device or data size? As a partner, you get to decide your price point to your customers. So we sell to you in what we call our wholesale program, which is exactly what it sounds like. We sell you a certain amount of space in the cloud, and then you decide how you want to sell that to your customers and at what price. We've got a lot of pricing guidelines and a lot of marketing materials built around our experience in the best way to sell and market it, but we support you. So you get to set your own license model with your customers, and you just buy capacity off us, if that makes sense. Michael Heffley says, in regard to virtualization, does your platform support snapshots? Michael,